I love founders who they can execute. They are operators, number one. They understand the assumptions and the drivers behind their business. They can, hold their own within a financial model. They can prioritize. They can just get stuff done, and they can also sell. So it's kind of a two-sided or two-faceted approach here, because what I've found is that where I invest at pre-seed and seed, it's the founder who has to sell. And they have to understand, how do I prospect? How do I build a sales process? How do I get companies into the top of the funnel and convert them at each stage and actually get to revenue at some point? And some point soon, if I haven't already. There are a lot of founders over time that I've seen that really just want to focus on product and keep shipping products. And they don't think about the sales side. And especially where I invest in B2B software, like, you have to be able to sell.
So, what we look for are, entrepreneurs that have a deep understanding or a deep kind of insight against a consumer group and a user group that is either a pain point that they're trying to solve or a future that group wants to see exist. And I think in a lot of cases, our founders are, starting businesses stemming from something that they've experienced themselves that they thought could be done better, or a world in which they want to see for their kids, for instance. And so there's often an association between them being the customer at some point in their past of the category that they're trying to go solve for. And so, just having a deep appreciation for the touch points and the feedback loops that are going to be required for you to continue to innovate and keep the customer voice at the table.
So a given characteristic obviously has to be the job you're getting hired to do, right? So if you're obviously being hired as an engineer or a salesperson or a sales engineer, you have to be very, very good at that, because there is nowhere to run and hide, right? You have to be extremely good at that particular skill set. And so that's number one. But the second and the third attributes are, and this is what makes a great team member, is having those horizontal skill sets where you're actually catching the ball that might be dropping, and having really the ethos of wanting to contribute to the team well beyond what your own job function is, right? So I think that being deep, right, and on the one end in your craft, but then having the mentality and the mindset where you want to really be a winner, right, and willing to pick up, there's tons of stuff to do in a startup, right? So you need to be picking up all the loose ends and extra projects, and just have this can-do attitude. And I think that is what makes for a phenomenal, 6th, 7th, 11th, early team member.
So we look for, I just mentioned product and revenue, product and market with revenue, so product market fit, but we also look for founder market fit. Does the founder have experience in that space, experience with the problem, experience leading teams, attracting talent? Those are really important to us. So we look for founders that are really scrappy, that are most of the time bootstrapped, and really proven out that their idea will potentially work. And then are looking for the right partners to scale and grow. I mean, I always love when founders interview me to see if I'm the right partner, not so much just trying to tell me what I want to hear to get the check. It's a long-term relationship, and so we're looking for a really good fit in terms of communication style, and just demonstrated ability to make things happen with very little.
And you got to be able to just lay that out simply. That's probably the number one thing I look for. The number two is tribal knowledge. How well do you know it? And you know, kind of using the race car analogy, I wrote a blog post on this. And I drive my team crazy with all my analogies, but the racing car one has kind of stuck. And it's really the idea of, you know, with the business, you've got, it's like racing a car around a track, and you've got, you know, the product, if you will, is really the car. The entrepreneur is the driver. And, you know, it's how do you get around that track 50 times or whatever it is, making as few mistakes as possible, few crashes as possible, understanding the turns, the weather patterns that's coming in, and understanding, when I mention tribal knowledge, an entrepreneur that's got great tribal knowledge, that means they understand every other car on the track. You know, I think looking for somebody that really knows the industry and all the players in the industry, knows the problems, has identified a solution in terms of the vision, are probably the top two things that I'm looking for. And then everything else is, you know, more boilerplate in terms of creating moats of differentiation around data moats and all this kind of stuff. But those are the two key things I look for.
Now, Chris,
because at the end of the day, all that matters is, you know, the execution, and that's the driving. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to that driver and what they know about the other drivers.
It's what Travis has demonstrated, and maybe sort of too much of, which is sort of a walk through walls sort of attitude where, you know, they can't sort of hear no's. They will sort of not see or hear sort of all the issues or negative, you know, sort of challenges that they're facing. They will just go and figure it out and have the enthusiasm and sort of the self-confidence to succeed, right? And then there's always sort of the fit to the you know, what we call sort of founder market fit, which is why are these founders sort of uniquely positioned to sort of take advantage of a certain vision they have for a market they're about to disrupt or trying to build.